while waiting at the gate of Union Pacific for a computer conflict to be resolved by the dispatch, let me marvel about this beautiful piece of electronics. This is antennas, or you can call it tower. It is loaded by antennas. In the top you have 12 linear antennas are vertical, 4 in each of 3 different directions. Each one of the 4 of the 3 sets, there are 3 of 4. Each one of the 3 has 4 antennas linearly. Each one covers 135-degree angle, so you multiply 3 times 135 and give you 360. Am I correct? 135, that's 270. And 135, 375, 365. Anyway, each one of the antennas on the top, each 4 of them serve a certain cone or angular part of the 360 degrees. Because they are vertical lines, they oscillate, the electrons oscillate vertically, so the beam, the electromagnetic beam that's radiating from these antennas are almost cylindrical. The center of the cylinder is each one of these rods, and the polarization is vertical because the electrons oscillate up and down, and the magnetic field is circular around the lines, so the beam that radiates is cylindrical. Under the 12 on the top, you have on the side other antennas. Some of them are like elliptical like discs. Some of them are at the bottom here, the 4 sets in the bottom. On the side, those are vertical lines, polarized cylindrical waves. In the middle of the tower, you will have at least 4 or 5 conical dishes, or what you call it, paraboloid metal dishes that can send a beam in a very specified direction to a satellite. The more you focus the beam with a dish, the further it goes and the narrower the cone is, so you can send your entire energy into a very small spot far away in the space. That is the whole idea of having disks. The snow is coming down. That is the main purpose of this power. Electromagnetic radiation, antennas from all kinds of frequencies. The wavelength of radiation depends on how long the rod is, or the antenna is. Or you can get multiples of wavelengths in that antenna. The discoid, or the discs, or the ellipsoid antennas, the frequency is not a big deal, because the frequency of light or electromagnetic waves is very high, so it can fit in that small diameter. If you need to have a very huge wavelength, you will have to have a very huge disk. If you want to send beams to Mars or a remote satellite in the remote space, you cannot use short wavelength. You have to use enormously large wavelength, so it's not absorbed in atmosphere. At the same time, a very large wavelength can have a huge focus that can be received by the satellite. It has a disadvantage of having very low power, but at least you can send a signal. As far as the top 12 that are directed in certain, each four of them are facing one direction out of the 360. Let me again divide the 360. That's 120 degrees in each direction, not 135. So 120 and 120, that is 240, 120 to 360. That's correct. That is where you get your identification signal on your cell phone. It tells you which direction that cell phone is located with respect to these 12 antennas on the top. How does you know which directions? You might have certain codes they put on the antenna to identify the direction. Let me see now if I got my conflict resolved or not.